Hi everyone, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today I want to talk about my 8-week transformation back in 2021 after I contracted COVID in late 2020 and almost died several months later. Some of you may remember seeing these images on my social media, and this photo was taken by my wife in hospital after an almost fatal anaphylactic shock that I suffered and had actually collapsed. But knowing my willpower, I did not let COVID or anything else stop me. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I applied Vince Gironda's definition program and diet to bounce back from COVID and achieve this 8-week transformation. That's right. I changed my physique and health naturally in 8 weeks. And believe me when I say you're going to want to stay to the end of the video, as I will tell you how I applied Vince's knowledge to achieve this transformation drug-free in just 8 weeks. So that if you are looking to transform your physique and health, then applying some of the key principles that I used will most definitely help you out. And in case you're wondering, I did not take the vaccine before this anaphylactic shock, so it was definitely COVID. That is what the doctors told me. So let's start with the backstory. I contracted COVID in late November 2021, and after 6 weeks of having one of the worst colds of my life, I thought, that was it. The cold was over, and I thought I was going to get better. But certain symptoms lingered on, especially nausea, the loss of smell and taste, and just an overall sense of weakness. Essentially, that's been classified, or was classified back then, as long COVID. I felt exhausted all the time, but I still tried to train, even with light weights. A few months later, I had not realized, but I was suffering from long COVID, and that my immune system was essentially knocked out. For years, I knew that I had lactose intolerance, but little did I know that COVID caused gluten intolerance in my system. After eating battered food one night in May 2021, I was interviewing Kashi from Persian Yoga in Sydney and noticed that my whole body was swelling up, and I had to stop the interview. I told my wife that I was having a severe allergic reaction with massive swelling, and you can actually see these photos I took of another similar episode. However, with this severe allergic reaction that I was suffering, the welts I got from the anaphylactic shock were even larger. I mean, I was blowing up like a balloon. So I took some antihistamine and jumped into the shower to take a cold shower to see if I could reduce the swelling. But soon I began to feel like I was going to faint. My heart was actually racing and I started losing vision. And that is when I got out of the shower, told my wife to tell the neighbors to babysit our kids because I knew that I had to go to hospital. And within seconds, I collapsed. It was a total blackout. My wife dragged me into the car, and as she sped me through the motorway, as the hospital is just 10 minutes from us, she was screaming, I remember, telling me to wake up. She was shaking me violently with one hand while striving with the other. At least that's what she said she was doing. It was really scary stuff when I actually remember what I can remember. I know I was blind. I couldn't see anything. All I saw was like white, and I could occasionally hear her voice, which is why I remember some bits, but not all of it. I'm mostly recalling what she told me. I know I couldn't stand, and I could barely breathe. When we arrived, she dragged me out of the car, threw me on a wheelchair because the hospital at emergency has like a few wheelchairs around the car park. Pretty smart of them. And when the hospital staff saw me, I was rushed into emergency and apparently I was revived by 3 or 4 doctors. God bless them. I can't remember, but this is me in this photo with a drip, probably, about an hour maybe after I was administered some drugs or cocktails or whatever of drugs that saved my life. When I finally came to, my wife told me what had happened, and the doctor said that it was stupid to have my wife take me to hospital, but that taking that antihistamine saved my life. As the doctor said, if I would not have taken that antihistamine, I would have died on the way to hospital. And, at this point, I would just like to say, I'm forever in debt to my wife and, of course, the doctors who saved my life. I'll never forget that. It was a very, very traumatic experience, to say the least. Now that we have all that drama out of the way, you can imagine the state I was in several weeks after, drugged to the gills, inflamed, but as soon as I could, I began to train. This photo here was taken end of August, just 3 months after the anaphylactic shock episode. Sure, I look stocky, still keeping my hard-earned natural muscle, but yeah, I wasn't happy with the way I looked or the way I felt, or with my health. I had also just finished setting up my new home gym called Vince's Gym Switzerland, so I was eager to get into home gym training. It's funny that way, just reflecting a little bit, but every time I have a kind of a really bad health episode, a medical issue, I tend to build things. I can barely move usually. I'm usually very exhausted, and usually I'm on sick leave of some sort, and I tend to try and build something. I find it that it lifts me psychologically. It gives me a purpose, and it's part of my rebuilding phase, right? And I find that gives me willpower. It motivates me. So I was slowly but surely constructing my home gym. Further, my neighbor, who helped me set up the gym and was already training under my guidance, told me that he wanted to get more muscular and shredded before he went to see his family in Florida in the autumn of 2021. So we decided to embark on Vince's definition program together. I knew that although I had suffered from COVID, I had gained a sufficient amount of muscle afterwards over the summer, having already followed the first few months of Vince Geronda's The Master series, which is available on my website. So I was ready to see what changes had occurred in my physique. You could say that it is something that I wanted to do in a while. Since I started the YouTube channel back in 2017, I was reluctant to show my physique to the public, as I had suffered from many debilitating injuries that had left me crippled more than once. And it took about 10 years to completely recover from all these different things. And so I really wanted to show everyone what can be done with persistence and determination. I have already talked about these injuries extensively on this channel, so you can check those out. Now let's look at the program I used. Vince's definition program typically has one train 5 days a week, hitting each body part using the 10x10 scheme. And Vince recommends training the upper body on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, whilst the lower body is just hit twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For this transformation, I performed a modified version of Vince's definition course as follows. On Monday, which is day 1, instead of doing an upper body 10x10, I would perform a strength day to stimulate white muscle fiber type by performing a workout that focused mostly on upper but some lower body strength. And basically you can see here, I was doing deadlifts 5x5, incline dumbbell bench press, 5 sets of 5 to 8 reps, dumbbell shrugs, 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps, weighted chin, 3 sets of 5 to 8 reps, seated dumbbell press, 3 sets of 5 to 8 reps. As you can see from the program, it was mostly compound movements performed for 3 to 5 sets for 5 to 8 repetitions for all exercises. I love to be able to get stronger over the weeks, even though I was stripping subcutaneous fat. And as much as I love Vince's teachings, I thought that keeping 1 day a week focusing on strength would give me a lean but strong look to my physique. The remaining 4 days, I focused on muscle hypertrophy and fat loss. The lower body program, which was performed on Tuesdays and Thursdays, was as follows. I would start the program off by jogging about 3 kilometers, doing then core activation, front squat of 5 sets, 8 to 10 reps, the leg sled press, 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps, leg curl machine, 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps, dumbbell leg curl, 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps, standing calf raises, 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps, and seated calf raises, 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Leg raises or concentric sit-ups were also performed for abdominals, 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Back in the golden era, Vince did not have his trainees train the hamstrings, which is one of the main criticisms I have of the 10x10, and so I added exercises for this body part. Further, you will see that I split the 10x10 into 5x10, which was performed for 2 exercises per body part to make up the total 10x10 volume. The upper body program was performed on Wednesday and Fridays as follows: Gironda wide grip dips 10x10, seated cable row 10x10, seated lateral delt raises 10x10, preacher curl 10x10, easy curl bar lying triceps extension 10x10, and the seated barbell wrist curl 10x10. Now this particular program is directly out of Vince Gironda's 10x10, unmodified, and I love it because it really works for developing that classic aesthetic look, as clearly seen from my resulting transformation. Now that we have looked at the program I used, I want to talk about other important factors that contributed to my transformation, and these are diet and calorie counting, eating organs, as in organ meats, hyperventilation, and willpower. Firstly, whilst training, I always viewed my rest periods, and this is something I tell my clients all the time. Rest periods should be viewed as recovery periods, and one should perform hyperventilation. And no, it is not what many people visualize hyperventilation to be, that is breathing into a paper bag. No, that is not hyperventilation as taught at least by Vince Gironda. Instead, it involves deep breathing through pursed lips, filling your lungs purposefully. Hyperventilation done in this way, which is essentially deep breathing, saturates your body with oxygen, allowing you to recover faster as it facilitates the creation of adenosine triphosphate in your muscle tissue, which is the unit of energy that is required for muscular contractions. I mean, think about it. When you are training hard, most of us, typically, not myself, but I see most people, sitting on a bench and slouching over, or texting, or whatever. And this position collapses your chest cavity when you're just slouching over. And therefore you reduce the amount of air that can be breathed in, delaying your recovery. Instead, I encourage you to take deep breaths and change your perception of the rest period as a recovery sit. Sit up straight, have your chest out, and really fill your lungs. Think of the rest period as a breathing set. It is a powerful technique, and be careful though when starting, as some people feel lightheaded from the deep breathing, so it would be wise to do it seated and to experiment with it at first, taking just a few deep breaths during your rest period and seeing what effect it has on your recovery. Understand also that the more oxygen that you breathe in and that you have in your blood, the more oxygenated your blood is going to be, and the better pump you'll have at the end of your workout. I personally would do up to 20 hyperventilation breaths, and if you want to know more about the technique, I have demonstrated and talked about it in great detail in previous videos, so check them out on my YouTube channel. Now, is hyperventilation only good for just saturating your body with oxygen? No, there are further benefits gained, and this of course is fat loss. Did you know that fat is lost through our breath as carbon dioxide? That's right. Again, I've talked about this extensively in my previous videos, so I encourage you to look at them. But in short, hyperventilation not only saturates your body with oxygen, but also releases carbon dioxide, which is what fat is converted to when it is broken down through the process of fat oxidation. And this is exactly what we want during a transformation that changes our body composition, muscle hypertrophy, and fat loss. Now to my diet. My diet wasn't anything spectacular, and in all honesty, it shouldn't be. At the end of summer, I was eating approximately 2,000 calories and maintained this throughout part of August and began to finally reduce, reaching between 16 to 1,700 calories. And in all honesty, this really made the difference in losing subcutaneous fat. Doing the 10x10 alone, whilst eating 2,000 calories, I did notice a lot of fat loss, but reducing the calories further was what really made the difference, and I think the results are clear. 8 weeks in, and it was the end of September, I had achieved a decent transformation. Now, I did not follow the steak and eggs diet as described by Vince Gironda, but followed what's called a cyclic ketogenic diet and ate only 100 to 125 grams of carbohydrates per day, which was split before and after my workout, and I also ensured that my protein intake was 2 grams per kilo of body weight. Further, I made sure I would eat liver twice a week, as I found that liver really helped with my recovery and energy. And this was especially important because I am a husband, father of 2, and at the time I was working 70 to 80 hour weeks twice a month. And this brings me to the point of willpower and how badly you want something. When you have a goal and it becomes a need or a desire, then obsession takes over. I love the process of this transformation, and it was a joy to go through, even with all the obstacles that I faced. People often ask, Carlos, how do you manage to organize yourself with work, family, and training? It's a fair question, but let me say this. Many people state that they have no time to train, and I laugh at this. I'm sorry, but I do, because everyone has time to train. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger stated, you need to make time and prioritize. If you'd rather watch TV during the day, then that time is lost. For example, I don't watch TV during the week. I only watch TV on weekends. And when I do, it is either something educational or a movie with my family. I would rather invest my time in my health and well-being than to watch somebody else's life. Imagine that. I always say, make your own life so interesting that you want to be involved in it, and stop watching other people's lives. What for? You gain nothing. I don't mean to preach. I used to work 70-hour weeks every second week, and this work was spread over 6 days. During these weeks, I still managed to get most, if not all, of my workouts in. I focused on prioritization of my time. I put my phone away and any distractions. I didn't make any YouTube videos. I just focused on what I was doing. When I was at work, I worked. When I was with my family, I concentrated on their needs. And when I had that extra 30 to 60 minutes, I would train. I concentrated on my workout. It can be done, even if it means waking up 5:30 a.m. in the morning. I will do it. Call me obsessed or self-motivated, but the important thing to always do is to know what you wish to achieve. If you know what you want, then the only person in the world that is stopping you from doing it is you, yourself. I don't believe in excuses or blaming my own misfortunes. I almost died in 2021, yet I didn't sulk about it. Look how long it's taken me to talk about this. And it's not because I'm traumatized about it. It's because I'm just hoping that this motivates you. I'm not going to sulk about it. If it helps, I will state this. Use your misfortunes to fuel your fire and persist. This will create a strong willpower that will eventually create an unshakable strength within you and drive that cannot be stopped. And on that note, my neighbor, Frank, also had a phenomenal transformation. And he was in his 50s. He was suffering from chronic low back pain and several other issues, gastrointestinal issues, etc. Yet he wanted to restore his health, and he wanted a six-pack at the end of the 8-week period. And he achieved it. When he went to Florida, his family couldn't recognize him. And when he saw his clients at work who hadn't seen him in months, they also didn't recognize him, stating that he looked like 10 years younger. Of course, I also modified the program for him to fit his capabilities, and this is crucial in executing any training program. If you are bodybuilding your unique body, it is imperative to know what you are capable of doing, and this is best done through an experienced coach. Most people know what they want, but they are somewhat lost as to how to achieve their goal. And this is because they do not understand or know how to start correctly. Your program should be unique to you and reflect also the circumstances and situation you are in. And it should always be individualized so it fits in your lifestyle and it fits with what you are capable of doing. And when this process is looked at in great detail at the very start of your journey, great results can be achieved. If this is something you are interested in exploring, then please get in touch for my online coaching program, where I combine my experience in bodybuilding with years of medical science expertise to create individual programs for unique individuals like yourself. So that was my 8-week transformation, and if you have enjoyed this video, then please give the video a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Have you suffered from poor health and returned to health successfully? I would love to know, as these stories are always inspiring and motivating to me, and I'm sure to everybody else. And I hope this video regarding my journey has also inspired and motivated you. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles, but how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.